women face more violence as compared to the men. Reason being that men are looked at as superior people in the community or in the society.
There are very many different forms of violence against women and girls, but the most common one within the community I grew up and in the community I work in is physical violence. And I see that every day or every week or every month in my community, where you see a young girl being touched at her butt or being slapped or her hair being pulled. Number two, the other one that is a little bit silent but we watch it in news, is sexual violence. And this is very common at workplaces, at school, in the community, even in churches. Of recent, we are hearing in the news. One of the things that I always tell people that forced marriage is actually rape, and it's also another form of sexual violence that happens in our community.
The other form of violence is emotional violence, which most people don't even know that they go through it. And in emotional violence, we have insults, abuses, refusing to support the family.
I don't know the right word to say, but technologically aided types of violence. We are seeing, sexual videos of people being exposed on social media, but also seeing people using social media to body shame women, bodies, parts, and all of that, but also men's body parts as well. And I think that's also a new form of violence that we need to think about and how to actually strategize to combat it in our community.
And we have economic violence. A woman who is employed, the man ends up owning her money or her salary that she earns.
This question of violence against women, young girls and adolescents who are seeking services definitely, first of all, affects their access. They will be reluctant to go to these health facilities to seek services. And once that happens, whether it is prevention services or care and treatment services or psychosocial support services, then it increases their risk of either acquiring HIV infections or adhering to treatment.
The laws that are not as progressive, that actually open doors for violence to be meted out to women and girls.
We have these laws. We have the laws as Uganda. We have very beautiful laws, but they aren't implemented.
And for Uganda, by and large, the policy environment is enabling. We have specific laws that address gender-based violence. We have laws that address HIV. But these laws, in a way, have not been implemented to the level and to the scale that we actually mention that women and girls are fully protected. And in some ways, the laws have been the areas in which communities have exploited the gaps and have ended up violating rights of women and girls.
I also think policymakers can try to think about deterring measures that they can put in place. Maybe there could be very strict punishments to whoever the perpetrators are or the people that support even that kind of violence to happen in the community. I think the other thing that they can do is to put up measures that enable litigation, because we see many violence in our communities, but girls fear to come out and report because those that have reported, nothing has happened. Actually, worse or more issues have actually affected those that have reported.
We need to see that the Ministry of Gender, the Ministry of Justice, appropriate systems, send out more information, enable the local community courts, because these are the first courts of instance where cases are supposed to be reported. The law also punishes HIV transmission. The law also punishes attempts of HIV transmission, situations that cover exposure. HIV being what it is, there will be times that a person would expose another without intention to harm. Yes, of course, we do not support HIV transmission. It shouldn't be any reckless person with intention to harm.
We need to promote the utilization and access of sexual reproductive health services. We need to also promote the use of family planning at different health facilities, and also sensitize the community at large.
As we train the health workers, we also need to support the communities, the service, those who utilize the services, for them to be empowered, to know that they have a right to information. Once they visit the health facilities, they are supposed to be given information related to their conditions, related to where they should seek services from, related to the medication they have been provided with, and they should ask for this information. They should know the services that they're entitled to and they demand for them.
Well, the most critical message that I would send out to my fellow adults and girls and young women in the community is one, silence is deadly. So the most important thing is you need to be empowered, or you need to speak up whenever you see these issues, because if it happens to one girl and then this perpetrator is not brought to case, it will happen to another. We create our own kind of support system or support mechanisms between the peers themselves to be able to identify, to be able to talk to each other, and in case one of our peers faced any form of violence, there is always that easy kind of mechanism to provide peer support.
We need to involve and engage men in different sensitizations for them to understand the best way of overcoming this violence, the best way of taking care of their families, the best way of understanding what a woman wants.
We start by creating awareness among us, the communities, our fellow peers, adults and girls and young women, to understand these forms of violence and how actually they can react to these forms of violence, and which resources and which opportunities are actually available to take action when such things happen.